Yeah. Okay, we're gonna check. We should be in business. All right, we're back in business. Consistency is a little more important. All right, we're back in business. Consistency is a little more important. Let's see. I'm doing too much, really. I ain't even finna lie to you. And make sure I regularly do my videos is important to me. So, live on Facebook. That's what we gonna do. Boop, boop, be doop. I'm not gonna worry about it. So if it don't work again, we're just gonna move on with life. You dig? Life is a beautiful thing. I hope everybody been having a good week. Mine has been a little bit busy. It's crazy. I had to switch hotels. And the hotel I left overcharged me. Yeah, I'm about to talk bad. I used to kind of like the Hyatt, but now that I'm back on the road again, I'm not really liking the Hyatt unless I do something like the Grand Hyatt or whatever it is. I'm not really liking the Hyatt. So a lot of times it's starting to seem like they just didn't even really do a good job at updating the hotels. Hell, I got stuck in the bathroom a couple of times. So I was glad because, like, once you close that door, I feel sorry if they ever give that room to an elderly person because once they close that bathroom door, it's going to be over for them. And because the bathroom door is easy to close, but that opening it was crazy. Okay, so whoop whoop you doop. So I seen you put what happened. I guess it's not showing now because I'm doing it, but it didn't go live on everything. You know, we've been getting a little. We've been what's it called? Spoiled a little bit with it. With it working. Why not? What you talking about? Oh my God! Or someone with claustrophobia. What you talking about? Claustrophobia. Oh, you talking about that bathroom thing? Yeah. So the good thing was the bathroom was actually kind of big, so it wouldn't make you feel like that. Like the hotel I'm in now, the bathroom is smaller, so the bathroom was big, but they did one of them glass sliding doors, so it looks real pretty. But then once you close it, it's a part that once you close it, when I'm talking about open, I had to be like, "Ugh," like I had to put my back into it. You know what I mean? So you know, I left them a 1-star review today because I went when I checked out the transfer hotels. Dude at the desk gave me a bill that was right because I checked out early, and they only charge you for the days that stay there. But when I checked in, they charged me for the whole thing. So the receipt he gave me was perfect. It was like, you know what I mean? They were only gonna charge me half the amount because I only stayed half the stay. And then after I left, like I left at probably like 7 in the morning, and about 3 o'clock, their system sent me another email where they done charged me where I was supposed to pay $380. These fools done charged me $522 plus another $174. They hit my card 2 times. So then when I called them, they acting all dumb, put me on hold about 20 minutes. Then so then so dude can go talk to his manager. Then when he come back, manager doesn't even have the professionalism to actually even get on the phone to address the problem himself. And surprisingly, I'm on my best behavior. I'm at a work event. So if I was at home, you already know how to turn up. But I wasn't turning up or nothing. So manager didn't get on the phone. They talking about, oh yeah, we did overcharge you $400, blah, blah, blah. It'll be back on in a week or so or some monkey ball. But I'm like, Yeah. So when I call, you know me, I'm all, let me speak to your manager person. So I call the company, main company, complain to them. They call the hotel, try to work on some stuff, and they still like, well, we can't do nothing. Man, I disputed that thing so fast with my credit card. And left them that 1-star review talking about how terrible you get trapped in the bathroom. They run bad. They manage bad. They did a bad job updating, and they overcharged my credit card $400. $400. But you know that's how it always go. It doesn't take them a week to recharge it. I mean, to charge my credit card, but it take them a week to give it back. So then I got to the new hotel, and maybe something about Savannah. So the new hotel is better. It's one of the hotels that I actually do like. I like Embassy Suites. But we doing these training sessions, and probably about the end of the day, close to the end of the day, maybe about 2 o'clock, all the power in the hotel go out. I guess supposedly somebody had a transistor over here, so we were just out, like all the power. They had the little emergency lights on, but that was about it. So, and I stayed on the 6th floor, and I was not about to walk 6 flight of stairs. So I told somebody to drop me off. I called, of all places, I called the Polo store, and I'm like, hey man, y'all got power? He says, yes. Drop me off at the outlet. And I just walked around there, and I ain't buy nothing, but I definitely recognize how a lot of times businesses, when they give you these discounts, like I want the Banana Republic, and they got 50% off everything in the store. But I know they bumped up the prices for everything. So the 50% off ain't really 50% off. So I was like, never mind, I'm not buying anything in here. It's cheaper for me to order it online anyway. So all right. But I guess I ain't gonna talk your head off. I feel like I might have lost the page where we were at. Okay, no, I didn't. Um, Let me think. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember reading this part. I remember okay, I'm gonna start back a little bit because I remember um when Asima and Tuki were having a conversation about Flora. I forgot that we supposed to start doing that. Summarizing what we read and having conversations about it. I guess we got to do it at some point. Yeah, so next time when I feel like I'm gonna read a little extra, I just stop and then ask the questions. Hey, I feel you, Liberty. What you said. I mean, I'm trying to do it somehow. I don't know how, but we gonna figure it out. What? Does it seem like my color changing? Yeah. So this is no, not a SEMA. What's the other girl name? Pinstamon. Pen. So that's who talking. It's Tuki and Pen. And Tuki finally admit to Pen that she being haunted by Flora. And you know they had that conversation. But anyway, let's say we're about to go for a walk. I'm thirsty. And I went downstairs for the. Oh, you know I got my Your Daddy shorts on. That's why I took this. I don't want to stand up and y'all find out more about me than I want y'all to know. Surprise! And I love polo. Oh yeah, they deep. Hey, listen. Maybe I'll get large enough. You know what? Glad you said that. I might put that in my rich life. When I'm described so on Tuesdays, if you don't know, we talk about healing and stuff like that. We're having conversations on describing what your rich life can look like, because it can be like anything. But I might make that one of my rich life dreams where I get large enough where Polo want to endorse me. Let them send me some free stuff. But I got, okay, this is funny. I'm going to tell you the stores I went by. I went by Polo. I went by Clark's because I love my Wallabies, but these little outlet stores don't be having the real Wallabies. So I generally have to order them. But they do have dress shoes. So I'll be getting the Clark dress shoes because them pointed toes, them slick bottoms, them church shoes be super comfortable where I can wear them dress shoes all day. And then I went to Banana Republic. And if you know me, I always go to Banana Republic because they always have a 35 waist. Not as if anybody cares, but guaranteed to have a 35 waist. So I go to Banana Republic and I like their, so I started going to Banana Republic really when I stopped wearing jeans. So it's funny because they had jean day down here. And I'm like, I don't got no goddamn jeans. So I got two pair of jeans and they just for show because I don't never even wear them. But I started buying them jean cut khakis, and Banana Republic got some crucial jean cut khakis. I did get them from Brooks Brothers one time, but them Brooks Brothers one ain't soft enough. The quality is there, but yeah, Banana Republic. Listen, I struggle with this cup all the time. I've been embarrassing myself in the meeting and looking at me. I'm like, I got a hole in my lip. And you got me talking today. I ain't even reading. I'm sitting here talking to you. Yeah, all right. We'll get this party started. I still need to work on that Twitch thing because when I set it up for YouTube, I put the name in the description. But I gotta figure it out for the what's his name. All right, we're gonna get this party started. Here we go. Nah, I'm gonna start here. The phone never stopped. The information in my head boiled over. Even though I wrote things down, my do list kept accumulating. I began hearing the phones even after work, as I walked home, as I arrived home. See? All the time. Now, not only was I haunted at the bookstore, hey, don't want to sit back. I definitely ain't finna sit up like that the whole time. All right. Now, not only was I haunted at the bookstore, but the bookstore began to haunt me at home. Phones rang in my dreams. It was exhausting, but also there was something moving about this attention. Louise had been excited by the word essential. As it turned out, books were important, like food, fuel, heat, garbage collection, snow shoveling, and booze. Phones ringing meant our readers had not deserted us, and some far off day, they would walk in the bookstore again. Sometimes it was exhilarating to be needed. Sometimes I felt important. Dissatisfaction ordered books on the phone now. He drove a vintage Mercedes Benz, very classy. His vanity license plate said Law Wolf. When he picked up his books, I leaned out the door. What else you got? He cried. I gave him James McBride, Deacon King Kong. The next day, he actually called me at the bookstore halfway through to tell me that the book was packed with life and love, and he didn't want it to end. Love and life? These were words I had never expected to hear from dissatisfaction. I was immediately concerned. Are you all right? He didn't snap back, which worried me more. I like the good Lord bird, but this one is even better. It's about human nobility, kindness, craftiness. It's visual, funny. I don't want it to end. I stuttered some sort of answer and he kept talking. I think it's changing me. I really do. It's hard to change an old hard ass, which I am. People people always thought I was a defense attorney, but hell no, I was a prosecutor. This book brought me back to the old days. I grew up in Rondo, and that was a warm neighborhood full of kindness, pie, elderly folks, kids, craziness, and sorrow. It was a place to belong. All my life I've missed it, but never understood until now. Since they tore through Rondo for I-94, demolished the black neighborhood in St. Paul with so many people like in Deacon's World, I've missed it. I felt like McBride turned me into something personal. What? I sputtered. Are you going to do are you going to do with all this good feeling? Spread it around. Alphabet soup. Spread it like jelly. Spread it like jelly was what Pollock's grandma used to say when they had a surplus of anything. Already made Roland Warren the name on his credit card into a sort of relative by giving him a nickname. At one point, I'd even told him about his nickname in a fit of frustration when I couldn't come up with the title he hadn't read. He said the nickname suited him. It does. He's definitely oh, it is? So I might need to read Dick and King Kong's. Okay. So then I'm gonna do a poll. Whenever we get close, this book probably about another 100 chapters. Maybe we'll read that next. Excuse me. Oh my God. He said his nickname suited him and that his name for me was Alphabet Soup because I threw out so many titles sometime I got them mixed up. Now that he's transformed, I had come I had to change his nickname. Satisfaction wasn't enough. So for the time being, I decided to call him Roland Warren. That he could change because of a book brightened me up. It was the same with a lot of people who called to buy books. Here we were in a global pandemic, and even if challenged, they were generally cheerful. Of course, they were a few cranks. They always were. Perhaps not surprisingly. A few were crisis counselors. But if I turned the subject to books, almost everyone was eager to talk, which was good with me. I could talk about books indefinitely. Alphabet soup. I only signed off because there was pressure of orders to fill. I could work longer shifts though, as long as Penn helped me keep track of Flora, who was either branching out or getting careless. Sometimes we raised our eyebrows and glanced toward the sound she was making. This meant everything to me. It proved that this wasn't all in my head. Well, I knew it wasn't all in my head. Already in her methodical way, Penn was making a map of Flora's travels around the store. She was trying to figure out Flora's repetitive path was meaningful. Oh, you think that King Kong is not, it was exaggeration of a great book? Okay, cool. So then we won't read it. Okay. Where we at? I know one thing, said Penn. She's in and out of the confessional a lot. I'm wondering if there's something to the symbols carved into the door or the pictures glued inside. I looked at the carved half door to the priest's box. What is that symbol? I asked. It's some kind of quatrefoil. I'll look it up, I said. But I was more interested in the books that fell that we retrieved from the floor each morning. Flora and Fauna of Minnesota, Euphoria by Lily King. Maybe those had something to say about our ghost reasons for not staying dead. Now as warning to Flora, Now as a warning to Flora, the playlist started with my Johnny Cash songs, God Gonna Cut You Down. Vince DeMont and I didn't take any chances. We always left the store together. Most of the time I was braver, lighter, more cheerful. But Flora's let me in whisper had lingering effects. I didn't like being alone now, anywhere. I was shaky at night and kept the curtains shut. I would wake around 3 a.m. with my fist clenched, my feet cramped, my jaws aching, and I was often cold as though my blood had thinned and I was what? Suffused with dark old winter water. Worst of all, my fatigued nerves sparked at times like little shocks, and I said things that stung Pollux. Get your fat mitts off of me. And Hedda, take your stink eye off of me, little girl. Tukey, you're better than this, I couldn't counsel myself. Rise above, but I am a leaden person. When I jump, I can hardly clear 3 inches. I wanted to rise above, but Pollux would say, wanting ain't getting. At least now it was spring. That's facts. Wanting is not getting. Hold on. Oh, you said I exaggerated about the amount of chapters left? No, I don't think so. We on page 187 of 333. So in almost 4 weeks, we only made it halfway through. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't an exaggeration. I mean, I know you love the book, man, but you know, I ain't have to put no razzle dazzle on that one. Shit, for real. The year we burned the ghost. Oh my God. Excuse me, that burp. May. White double blood root and blue skillet covered yards on my path to the store. The leather knuckles of milkweed were pushing from the earth. Dark hemlocks and pine were tipped with tiny, tender green needles. People wandered about like toddlers, bending over to look at last year's dried grass. They watched the sky and they examined the tags of newly planted city trees. And the air, it was clean, cold food. Sunlight hit my shoulders at an angle, just a slight burn promising summer. The city closed off the parkway so people had room to walk outside, and the paths were always full of people, dodging one another, stepping off curbs, stumbling into gutters. Midnight cowgirl. Now the afternoons was still sunny after work, so one day I went home looking forward to the little patio beside our grill. I put my feet up on a boulder in a tiny garden. The rest of me sagged into the sagging canvas chair. A travel mug of tea was in the mesh cup holder, sunk into the arm of the chair. It was a strong black tea, and the sun had warmed only my shoulders. The day was good. Then Hedda brought Jarvis out and put him into my arms, and the day was perfect. The light stern and the new leaves was suspect to him at first. He frowned at the effrontery. I told him it was normal, that leaves happened every year. He'd get to know them. Hedda pulled up another chair, surprised me wearing. Sorry I called you an old sow, she said. Oh my God. She didn't call her old sow, but she was wilding. She was out of pocket though. All the way out of pocket. Her voice wasn't even forced. She seemed normal like leaves. I cleared my throat, spoke creakily in wonder. That was months ago, or maybe a year. Hedda actually smiled at me still. Okay, What's on your mind? Why does something have to be on my mind? Because why else would you suddenly talk to me and smile, I thought. Now Hedda was staring into the baby leaves. She had a red cotton scarf knotted around her head, holding back her dark, sleek knot of her hair. She leaned back and closed her eyes. I kept my counsel. There is something. I don't know how to even start. Oh God, I thought this is another human confession about a ghost. But Hedda was talking to me for the first time in forever, and I couldn't shut her out now. Actually, she was babbling. Excuse me. Actually, she was babbling. Just pretend like it will always make sense to, just pretend like it will all make sense if you start at the beginning, I said. Or maybe I should start at the worst part, at the end to get it over. That works too. I began rocking Jarvis just a little, jiggling him in my arms. I wanted to talk to him, but thought I'd better shut up and wait this out. The end of the story had me going crazy with the whip. I looked at her carefully, trying not to show too much interest, and said, Go on. I was in a film. The one you turned down? Yes, but obviously I took it. Does Pollux know? He can never know. What's the name of the film? Midnight Cowgirl. Only midnight is spelled Nite. I think he knows. How could he? It's not out yet or anything. I just wanted to tell you so you can run interference if I might be so bold to ask. I'd ask too if I was so bold as to do the film. I was in a stupid place. We've, well, I've been in a stupider place. This too shall pass, but it won't pass, Tookie. I will always be haunted by what I did. So it was about a ghost after all, a porn haunting. I will always be haunted by what I did too. Join the club, I said. And so we sat there, two haunted women, one unhaunted baby and one unhaunted baby trailing clouds of glory. Later on, when he needed to nurse, I handed Jarvis over. That's when Hedda talked to me about Jarvis' father. As expected, it was Laurent. I hadn't seen him in a while, but who did I see besides Penn, Jackie, family, and mass strangers dodging through grocery aisles? The ice was broken, so that's why she got mad. She was right. But dude was moving like what she described her baby daddy to be. Hedda wanted to complain. Although she loved him, Laurent couldn't follow rules. He wasn't a choice. It was just that he was so scattered. Hedda hadn't seen him, but Asima told her how Laurent tried to wear a mask, but it ended up on his chin or draped off one ear. Asima had stopped seeing him at all because Laurent hung around with other people and couldn't seem to stop going to parties and gatherings with old friends. He's working two jobs. He does house call tattoos. Enterprising lad. But in this time, should I get him out of our lives before Jarvis becomes attached? I know that's awful to say. I couldn't answer. I was surprised by a sick twinge. I would love to know my father. I mean, not if he was violent, but if he was just over social, fox-like, lurkish tattoo artist who lacked mass etiquette, yes. I guess I will, get him out, she said. I could tell from the tone of her voice whether she was resigned or relieved. I couldn't tell from the tone of her voice whether she was resigned or relieved. Wait, I said. I would have wanted to know my dad, even if he was careless, wrote in chicken tracks, made his living in inking people, and was loose with his affections. Oops, had a blink and let my words settle. Oh God, did I just say that? Yeah, you did. Loose with his affections. I suppose you saw him with the seaman at the store. I'm surprised you know about that. He told me. See, we're in an open relationship. Is that where you? Yes. She looked down at the cracked flagstone, shrugged. It was all my idea, not his. It wasn't working out either, except that I got closer to Asima. She's really careful for her mom and her Mushum. Plus, he's never told her about Jarvis and me. That was a rule. So now me and Asima were cool. Can I tell you something? I gave a nod, a worry nod. Don't worry, it's a good thing. I just want to state this. I am over my sexual adventure phase. Laurent, that stupid movie, etc. Jarvis had taught me there are better things. And also, well, I like Asima. Like her? Like her? She nodded, glancing away. I have to say, I'm glad to hear that. Wow, look at you, said Hedda. So normal, so momish and all. I never thought you could be momish. And you're such a good grandma. A kukum or nukumis or whatever. You like Jarvis so much. Love him, really. I mumbled. For some reason, all this was making me uncomfortable. Shy, ridiculous. I tried to shake that off, but because I wanted to be a person who can be trusted with all kinds of words. Burning the ghost. In most human cultures, there's a festival of reckoning. We honor our dead with food and flowers, parade red flags and skulls through the streets, or visit graves. We use the smoke of incense and sage. We create careful tableaus of heaven and of hell. Bring the dead to life again. We let their spirits roam. We remember and trace the signals of their actions on the living. Then we burn them up and set them free and tell them not to bother us. It never works. By the following year, they're always back. Why would you want to send your ancestors away anyway? I don't know. That's why they're always back. Presses were still running. Books were being printed. There were disruptions, but I found the idea of book production comfortable. We've never had the money to buy multiple copies of all the books we need for schools or the space to warehouse them. Thus, we're looking like a super organized hoarders. I wonder how Flora would deal with the lack of floor space, if she'd float above, step into boxes, or maybe trip as I had done. To my disappointment, she seemed able to negotiate our complicated space. As long as I was working with someone else, she still didn't speak or even hiss at me. She didn't get near me, but I decided to burn her anyway. If cremation hadn't worked, how could I expect a puny fire to do any good? Because I realized I hadn't burned her stuff. When when Jackie had talked about not wearing red, I remember that old timers gave away the dead person's things or burnt them. Maybe the burning came after all the plagues that hit us. But I was covered. But I was covering all the bases I could think of. I would make a fire and throw everything Flora had ever given me. I went through our house gathering. There were 4 containers of potpourri, a bit of a sacrifice. A winter hat she knitted out of novelty yarn that made me look like a porcupine. Good riddance. Some holy cards because I told her I like old pictures of saints. A ball of hot pink twine. Why? Uggs. She'd order a pair too big for her and hadn't tried them on in time to send them back. They had fit me, so I'd slop around in them until I ripped them in a couple of places. They would be hard to burn. Some smallish powwow t-shirts, an awkwardly beaded medallion. At first, Flora had a head had beat it like a child, uneven rows and raveling ends, but the medallion gave me pain. I remember her lowering the beaded daisy chain over my head. She had given me the tremulous question and admiring smile. Her soft blue eyes, whitish cotton candy hair, pink lips. What had she admired about me? What could I have done? Her standards were impossible low. I set the medallion on a pile and patted it. Back then, she meant well. It wasn't as though she waited her whole life to become slinking, needy, invasive spirit. Maybe she hated herself for what she was doing. I made a fire outside in an old-fashioned fireplace we hardly used. Nobody else was home, and that was good. I didn't want to head of the protest burning Uggs or anything else. The t-shirts were pretty nice. Also, if the items refused to burn, like the book, I did not want to deal with anybody's supernatural freak out. When I had my blades going nicely, I threw in Flora's gifts one by one. They burned. The Uggs gave off a spectacular stink. In the spirit of forgiveness, if not actual forgiveness, I threw tobacco in the fire. Then a large bunch of dried cedar, which made the fire spark up in a sudden burst. I always burned up the cedar I left over from Pollock's ceremonies. I loved the fragrant smoke and how the flames hungrily devoured the branches. Sick. I'm spilling myself this time. Whew, forgive me. Sitting with the fire made me lonely. It was hard to be isolated by a ghost that I couldn't tell Pollux about. I wonder why he turned out my ghost and I turned out his spirit. Excuse me. I wonder why he tuned out my ghost and I tuned out his spirits, which is the same thing. Were they not the same? I had always refused ceremonies on principle to prove that being ceremony adverse did not make me less Ojibwe. It was the same sort of reason Pollux occasionally took one drink to prove that being native didn't make him an alcoholic. Actively opposing all talk of ghosts wasn't an identity issue with Pollux, but it did make me wonder why, if he believed in spirits, he didn't also believe in ghosts. I kept sitting there even after everything was ash except the charred soles of the boots. I put more wood onto the fire. The day turned chilly as the evening came, and the coals were throwing pleasant heat. After a while, I heard Pollux pull up into the driveway. He went through the house and came out to sit with me. He saw the burnt soles. Did you fall asleep with your feet in the fire again? Yes, I said. Question. Why? Why do I believe in ghosts if I don't believe in spirits? And why do you believe in spirits but not in ghosts? He looked at me, busted the eyebrow up, lip pursed, taking me in. Finally, he nodded and turned back to the fire. It's not that I don't believe in spirits, he said. I don't like it when people say spooks or even the word ghost or the name of a dead person, especially that. It's disrespectful. I leaned in and stared at him like he was a stranger. No way, I said. That's the reason you walk away at the very mention? Of course that's the reason. So you telling me that you believe, let me get this straight, that you know that there are ghosts? Not ghosts, spirits. Yes. And here I am, haunted, ever since last November, and haven't dared to talk to you about it after you dissed me. I haven't asked for help. I thought you'd walk away. You did walk away. So what exactly, asked Pollux, do you mean by haunted? What I said, haunted, literally haunted, as in seeing a spirit, hearing her, Flora. Shh. See why I can't talk to you? Why? You know I quit being the tribal cop after I arrested you. You know I was a gung-ho officer anyway. So it's not in me to be a coach cop either. However, I'll tell you, it's because you say her name. You can't say her name right out like that. You have to respect the dead. Also, if she hears her name, she might get distracted on the road to heaven. If she's still on that road and you don't really want to get her attention once she's in heaven. Why? She might think you want to join her. That shut me up. You Chippeways have worked out a way to deal with this, said Pollux. I learned from Noko. You add a bond on the end of her name. That way she doesn't recognize her name, and it also means she's in the spirit world. Why the hell did I not know this? I raked at Pollux with my glare. You're on top of your traditions, he said. I thought you knew and had some reason I never thought. No, I'm not on top of my traditions. I didn't grow up with traditions. Stealing food was my traditions. I never got to learn about Iban. Jeez, I'm sorry. I didn't want to, I guess you could say, patronize you. I was silent. Get a grip. I was thinking, don't push this any further. He apologized. Me go, mano. Just leave it. But I wanted to scream so hard at Pollux that I had to press the back of my hand against my mouth. All of this was not his fault, but why marry a ceremony man unless I can rely on you to ceremony me out of trouble, I said. I've asked myself that same question, said Pollux. Why marry a bookseller unless you want to buy a book? We gave each other the side eye, then started laughing. Pretty soon we were upstairs in bed. At some point, dozing off, we heard a car drive up and Hedda's voice out, there as she unfastened Jarvis' car seat. She was laughing with another woman, Asima, really whooping. Guess this is a funny night, said Pollux. Glad we started early. Mm. We were looking at the ceiling fan, which I loved, in the grainy half dark of his blur calmed me. I'm so glad you installed that thing. I did it for you, to hypnotize you, so you do my bidding. What's your bidding? You know, said Pollux. I guess I can accommodate you, I said. Just this one time, if you stay real quiet. 10,001, he mumbled after when we were laying half asleep. I think it's a world record. Definitely a world record. We're on another level. We should get some kind of prize. A plaque with a detailed description to hang over a fireplace. We'd embarrass Hatter to death. He said, I know, she's pretty innocent, having a baby and all. Uh-oh. I put my hand over my mouth. Actually, you're right. She's an innocent, said Pollux, before he plunged to sleep. I hope what he said meant that he didn't know about Midnight Cowgirl. I watched the whirling ceiling fan and let it put me to sleep. Sometimes as I am waking, between sleep and consciousness, I am afflicted with a wave of crashing sorrow. Where this wave come from or why this moment is so bitter and deep, I don't know. It just happens to me. I stay still as though I have a knife in me, afraid to jostle this feeling and make it worse. That's when them people that need to cry and they don't. That she ain't talked about crying yet. Start hitting you like a knife. But I know that it won't go away unless I submit to it. And so I feel it. This happens to me the morning after Pollux hypnotized me with the ceiling fan. What? I woke up in the grip of sadness, and as always, I let the dark fill me. Slowly, as it receded, I peered out of my cave of pillows. Pollux was sitting at the little table next to the window. It was one of his workstations, which are scattered through the house and garage. He'd brought this table into our room when Hedda began to inhabit his office. It was a place he worked with eagle feathers. They were beautiful, modded brown and white feathers, winged feathers, so they carved slightly. Pollux would straighten them out by stroking the spines with the hot light bulb. He was wearing sunglasses against the glare. Over and over, he drew the feather over the glass. This would only be normal in a native person's house. The feather gradually straightened. It took a long time. I watched him from under my pillows. The light lay on his hair, picking out silver, black, and white strands. The patience of him, the way he was devoted to that feather, worked on me. Again and again, he warmed the feather, bent it the opposite direction, pulled it straight, warmed it again. He seemed like a picture of human love. I knew the fan was for me. I knew the feathers actually were for me. Tukey, straightened by warmth applied 1,000 times. Okay, where we go? Minnesota. Goddamn. I've been to Minnesota. And I went to the Mall of America and almost seen the brawl. Most people were mad about some kids having too much fun. But I feel them. We in the mall. Take them to the, they got a little amusement park in the mall. So take them to the Carowinds or whatever. These kids were just going, yeah. You know how some people, they feel like they're at a place that you can bring kids. That means they ain't got to watch their kids. Oh, man, excuse me. Whew. Signal event. The public health definition. An event, usually man-made, in which there's a tremendous signal, often in the form of disaster, which engenders multiple ripple effects of legislation and landmark legal cases, due in part to a popular outcry against prevailing policies that were inadequate or incapable of addressing the event. Signal event. All right, we got the definition. May 25th. Monday night, late. Hedda showed her father something on the phone. She's always doing that. Pollock stumped down on the couch and dropped his head in his hands. Oh no, Guan. He said, oh no. Then I watched it too. The video of a police officer with his knee on the neck of a black man who cried out for his mother, and then went quiet, and then was silent. This happened at Cup Foods in South Minneapolis. Pollux often stopped there to pick up a thing or two on his way back from working on the universe. You can get anything here, and I mean anything, he said about the cup. Now, he said, I was just there. Maybe I could have. I sat down carefully beside him, had to scroll through a Twitter feed and said, bad fucking check, maybe. Bad fucking check. After a while, she said there was a plan forming and she was going over to the gathering that would take place tomorrow. She'd take Jarvis. I'll keep him safe, she said. I have to be there. She started to cry. Pollock still had his head in his hands. He'd been that way since the video. I touched his back and he startled. I tried to hold back a wash of derangement. We all had just witnessed a murder. And what do you do with that? We all did. And that's the wild thing. Sometimes we don't realize self-inflicted trauma. Well, I said that like that because we talked about it in our show. People don't like to take accountability for their own self-inflicted trauma. But we definitely traumatize ourselves by watching that video over and over again. Hedda listed every measure she would take, the mask and the alcohol spray. Pollock still had his head down, but was listening. Do babies get the virus? Hedda shrugged this off, then looked thoughtful. She cradled the baby and sighed. I don't want him to get sick. How about if I take care of Jarvis? I said. You leave me some bottles. Pollock was still staring at the floor. In the early days of the American Indian movement, they listened to the police radio and showed up with tape recorders wherever there was about to be an arrest in certain neighborhoods at certain bars. The Minneapolis police regularly took our people down to the river for a beating. And the American Indian Movement, AIM, organized to stop that. Now we had cell phone videos. I stopped circling and tried to sit down. Asima just texted me. We're going together, said Hedda. Good. Rule 1, have a buddy. Not that I have rules, I amended. I've never been to a march except Standing Rock, and I was just bringing books. I tapped my chest. Felon. I don't go around cops. I looked down at Polish, except this one. Valid. Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't watch it. I did a bunch. Even reading it was like bringing it back up. So that's why we got to acknowledge the trauma. Because we watch that stuff and it'd be traumatic. Now, probably, I don't know. Low key, I'm a little less desensitized to it. But certain levels of stuff like that are my norm. Because I've seen some interesting things. Just growing up in the crack era, man, listen. I've definitely seen some interesting things. People be shot in any part of the body you could think of. My brother stabbed, cause like it was been a bunch of stuff. He didn't lift his head. So I can keep Jarvis here in this baby sling. I said, we'll be all right. Hedda started talking in earnest, saying people had to mourn, saying that there finally had to be a reckoning. I was surprised because she never reacted this way to anything. Her intensity had been focused on her makeup, her clothes, her friends. But that was before Jarvis, before the reflective isolation of this year, and before getting close to Asima. As for me, once I stopped talking, my thoughts jammed up again. That video of George Floyd dying played over and over in my head. But would I file it with the others? Geronimo Yans shooting Philando Castile in one annihilating movement. 7 shots. Well, never be clean again. No, excuse me, will never be clean again. I remember thinking at that time, none of us who let this happen. But what have I done since? A few things, not effective things. I thought of Philando's companion, his girlfriend, Diamond Rendos. Why did you shoot him, sir? I thought of Diamond, 4-year-old child, taking her handcuffed mother, talking to a handcuffed mother in the back seat of Yanez's patrol car. I don't want you to get shooted, Mama. I'm here for you. Thanks for taking Jarvis, Mom, said Hedda. Sure, honey, I said. Let's see. Might finish this page. Ooh. Pollock stared. What? Okay, there we go. Pollock stared at each of us in dull wonder. Then he put his head down again. Hedda went to bed. Okay. She was going tomorrow. Got it. I'm like, I had to go to bed. I thought she was getting ready to go to March, but the March tomorrow. Pollux and I sat up talking and checking our phones, staying up way too late. We shouldn't have, because it would turn out that nobody in the cities would sleep for many nights as the city grieved and burned. I dozed off on the couch, and when I jolted awake from daylight, the house was still. Once, when I couldn't leave my cell, I was distracted by a team of men. So I've been tackled and throttled. The terror of that was in me, and it had struggled to surface of my skin. I lay speechless in the dark. I had the cloth of a man's uniform tight across my face, and it hadn't belonged to Pollux. It was May 26th. Hella and Asima went to the gathering and marched and packing water bottles, hats, umbrellas for rain. They came back in a few hours. It had been emotional and cathartic, but they left the march before it got to the 3rd precinct station. We were sitting together again that evening, looking at the live feeds. Things were heating up. We turned away, turned back, and there were fireworks, flashbangs, tear gas. Then it rained, and it seemed like some people went home. Haunted city. I can't stay here today. Hedda gazed steadily at me over eggs and toast. We have to stand with the black people because we know the MPD has fucking done this to Indians since the beginning of this city. No, before that. They practiced on us in the Dakota War, and ever since. Look at the goddamn state seal. Our state seal and flag. An Indian with a ridiculous spears ride off while farmer plows his field with the gun propping up on a tree stump. That's wild. Asima was on the latest committee to get it changed, so I knew they'd been talking. I've been going to say, Hedda, that sounded like Asima. But then I thought maybe Hedda was starting to sound like herself. Pollux had gone out early to check in with his buddies, so I was alone with Hedda and Asima, got ready to go out again. I had agreed to take Jarvis to work. Don't go to the precinct, I said. I texted Pollux and he sounded worried. He told me to make sure that they used good masks and took water bottles. We'll be back early again, said Hedda. Don't worry. Hedda took Jarvis from her breast and gave him to me to burp. This meant I reached the semi-pros. She the semi-pros because she burped the baby down. All right. That's funny because you say semi-pros, I always think, are you ready to suck me sexy? Get on your knees and suck me sexy. And knowing you probably never seen that movie. What was that man's name? Jackie Moon. So if you haven't seen the movie, look up Jackie Moon. Then you'll know about Suck Me Sexy. Where we at? Semi-Pro, that's the name of the movie. I held him on the burp cloth draped over my shoulder and lightly patted him while doing the two-step. Asima drove up in a mother's vulnerable yellow Forester. Hedda kissed the baby on his head and grabbed a backpack. Pollux had told me to give her his pair of shatterproof goggles in case the police used rubber bullets. Yesterday, he'd also tried to give her a bike helmet, but she wouldn't take either one. I know you're worried, she said, but it won't be like that. She brandished her phone and told me she would text updates. She turned on the location sharing and made sure it was connected to her dad's phone. She even sort of hugged at me. Then she gave me a definitive air hug, as if she didn't want to disturb Jarvis. This was as close as we'd come to an actual hug, and it gave me a sad glow. I stood in the window jiggling Jarvis and watching Hedda and Asima spring down the walkway. They'd gone off casually yesterday, but this morning they were dressed for business in tracks, pants, and sneakers. Asima wore a white Rage Against the Machine t-shirt with the red fist raised in the middle. Her billed black hat with birch bark book head. That was a tongue twister. It was overcast and already hot. Heather was wearing a man's button-down blue and white t-shirt underneath. They wore their hair in low knots at the nape of their necks so they couldn't get seized by the ponytail. Asima had a Sharpie, and they were writing on each other's arms. When I realized that they were writing their contact information on their bodies, I went to the door with Jarvis. Come back. My voice was strained and thick. Hedda smiled at me over the shoulder. It's okay, Mom. She knew that calling me Mom would completely undo me. Nobody's going to get arrested, Asima shouted. The two mock saluted and ducked into the car. I had a terrible feeling as they drove off. I always have terrible feelings when anyone drives off. Throughout my life, people have tended to disappear forever. My aunt diabetic coma, my mother's overdose, my cousin's various accidents, various substances, my lovers, other people. Hedda and Asima will be okay, I thought. It's supposed to be safe to exercise your First Amendment rights in a peaceful assembly, but then again, there was Standing Rock. We had gone to cook. I brought a load of books. I really didn't understand the legal underpinnings of the protest. Truth is, I went because all the people I liked, including Jackie and a person who made really good hominy stew, were going there. Then one thing led to another. Pollux was kneeling. What? That was crazy. Everybody was out there. Pollux was kneeling when he was tear gassed, pepper sprayed, and hit with a chemical we still can't identify. Since then, he's been short of breath. I needed to talk to him again, so I called. Maybe the police will stand down or take a knee, he said. I can't believe how many people there are out here. I told him to be careful. And he said he was social distancing by standing on the side of a table of food, filling chili bowls. Oh, good. Okay, cool. I figured out how to clasp the straps on the baby carrier and wear a baby. We would walk to work on the shady side of the street. Pollux would pick us up after he fed everybody. The clouds were low and I felt the heat gathering. Jarvis didn't seem to care, but I was glad to reach the bookstore. I unlocked the front door and peered in. Jackie was already working in the office. The air was cool, a relief. I came in and started printing out online orders, checking to see if we had the books. Hedda said the protests were going to start at Cup Foods again. Go east on 30 English to Hiawatha. Hiawatha, excuse me. But they come home before they ended up at the police station. She'd keep checking in. Hedda kept her word for a while. Sent us a few photos she took on the march. A woman in pink tights pushing the baby carriage. A man with a child on his back holding up a sign that said justice. I knew the photos were meant to be reassuring. She promised to double back to the forest early. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. And doop, 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 doop. Yeah, I feel like we're getting something big and we wind up reading all night. Oh, shoot. And I got to get some rest because I go home tomorrow. I'm so excited, man. I'm tired of being in these hotels. So I'll take my black sweats home tomorrow. Don't be a hater all your life. Woo, shoot, excuse me. I hope that was loud in your ear. And nobody else heard it. And if you did, I hope you really like ASMR. That was an accident. But you know, I'll be authentic in these things. You get what you get. So, see, everything backwards. Yeah. Cool. Getting a little, what they call that? I remember, see, I got a little bump going on right there. And I don't really get acne. Let me tell you what it is, though. So I remember when I moved to North Carolina, when I was a kid. I had family here, so my mom was talking to my cousin. And three things I remember about my cousin. Good. Well, then you got it. So, first thing was, she named her Dog. So it'd be like, sit down, dog. The dog's name was Dog. So I thought that was funny. And then the second thing I remember, she had a lot of chest hair to me. And she did. I was like, wow, I had never seen that much chest hair on no woman. And the last thing I remember is my mom and her started talking about acne. And she was like, I got all these Lackanoogie bumps. Yeah, that was very creative, right? That's a dog's name. I got all these Lackanoogie bumps. And it took me forever to realize what Lackanoogie bumps was. But I think that's what I got. But slow it down, and then it'll make a little bit of sense. So say Lackanoogie bumps, real slow. Nookie bumps. Lackanoogie bumps. So you say it fast, so I probably got Lackanoogie bump. TMI. All right, I appreciate y'all. I think for our first time. Yeah, so when I got older, I realized what she was talking about. I was like them dirty old ladies sitting there trying to talk nasty with a kid around. For real. Funny. So I still use it now. Yeah, so I think for our first show on the road, it wasn't too bad. And as a matter of fact, it's funny because I'm at an event, so I ain't even on the road by myself this time. So Lo Siento. I think, I'm home next week. I got some other stuff to do. Yeah, I don't know when I go back on the road again, but we'll see. I'm definitely gonna start driving a little more so I can take people with me if I want to, or a lot of my stuff is close enough to drive to, which is good. So I don't know if I can take people with me so I can explore, travel, shop, do whatever I want to. So yeah. And then I see everybody always turn their car in. He did say he was going home the next day. So I'm starting thinking about that too. But anyway, too much. Thank you. Appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the story. I think it's starting to get a little bit good. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's about to start talking about parts that I can remember and I can know and I can relate to. So to me, that's going to be good. All right. So see y'all Tuesday where I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to whoop, 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 whoop. So that is what it's supposed to be doing. It seems like it only works perfectly. I got all that set up. So when you like it and you share, it's supposed to notify like that. But like I told you, I guess if I just consistently keep doing it, I guess if I keep doing it, it's just going to work itself out. Because I promise you, I haven't done anything. I set everything up the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But now the stuff is showing, but it's supposed to have been doing that. So when you shared it, because you normally share it, it's supposed to be like, Liberty shared your what's his name. And when somebody decided to give me some bread, I don't know. So I'm glad you did it. So now I know it works. I'm going to change that because that looked a little cheesy. And then I also need to work on badges. So I'll probably do that this week. And I mean, not this week, this weekend, and post some videos. Because I got a bunch of content I just don't ever post. So I'll do better with that. So I can get people off my back. I'm probably, you know what? I ain't even gonna lie. I'm probably gonna put you to work. So I'm probably going to just give you some permission, Charlotte, so you can help me out. I can, since I got that new computer, it's so easy to transfer stuff from my phone to the computer. Like I can do it wirelessly, like just download it to my computer. So I actually can, download all that stuff to my computer to upload it to Canva. And then you can do whatever you want to. You know what I mean? And then you can use Canva for yourself too, because you can post some crazy videos. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you. I'll chat with you. I thank everybody and see y'all next week.